Hi, folks. Carlos Garcia here from Exceed Sales. I am a workflow consultant and a partner with TaxDome. And today I want to show you how to build your playbook for your team, especially if you are using TaxDome Pro and you have multiple members, you have got a lot of customers, you've set up tags, you've set up automations and workflows and pipelines. But what happens is that it is an ongoing maintenance required to make sure that your customers are getting the best experience. So for firms that have a lot of clients, a lot of moving pieces, you're setting up new profiles, you're bringing on new prospects, it's highly important that you have someone on the administrative standpoint making sure that they are looking at all the profiles and making sure they're all set up properly so that when you put them in your workflows and your automations, they have all the proper tags and they are set up appropriately so that the team does not get impacted with any customer experience breaks and your customers don't fall through the cracks inside of your workflows. So let's start with just building your playbook. Ideally, you want to have as a table of contents just a few elements that require monthly maintenance. The first is having a uniform process around account setup. If you're going to delegate access to everyone in the team, to give everyone the access to set up an account can be messy because if they're not all being consistent, then the accounts are not set up right, and the automations and the programming on the tags and all that stuff won't run the way that you originally set it up. The second thing is making sure that all the tags are appropriately being assigned and that you're defining what each of the tags mean so that everyone in your team is consistent. And so that ongoing training and check-in process is huge. The third is just pipeline automations, the walkthrough, how it works, just so that the team can always come back to have maybe some sort of recorded training if you're doing it with a certified consultant or if you're doing it with your TaxDome support team, which they provide free support as well, and they do Zoom meetings. So you can record those and attach those links of the recordings inside your playbook. It's a nice way to call back and remember. Or if you have a brand new team member and you don't want to repeat the same stuff all over again, this is a nice way to document that. Then you've got your monthly profile slash tag audit process, and this is more of a manual piece that you want to assign to an administrative function inside of your firm. And basically, they are just running through your entire tax dome and make sure that any new profiles that were built, in the last 30 days are built appropriately. They have all the tags assigned as they should, and the account is set up properly with the right folders, the right templates, so on and so forth. And then you've got like a resource center. What are some quick shortcuts or links to be able to do that? So let's get into it. So account setup, you can write things like, hey, make sure that have the right account name that is consistent with the name of the individual as they file on the tax return or in the way that they set up their bookkeeping or for the company's name as well. Make sure that when the account gets set up, the right team assignment is being done. If you have members of the team that need to have access to those accounts, you got to make sure that those people are selected in the account setup. Here's some typical roles and responsibilities within a TaxDome licenses. You've got an inbound rep. So if you have someone that's taking in leads from your website, or you've got someone that's calling in to try to get quotes for a bookkeeping project, for a tax preparation quote, or other miscellaneous type of services, you want to give that person a license and give them a specific type of access to be able to do that work within TaxDome, which is another feature that you can do within TaxDome is have a workflow for quotes. You have other members of your team. You've got the senior CPA or EA. You might have a senior tax preparer, a junior tax preparer, a senior and junior bookkeeper if you have separate lines of businesses or you offer different services. You have an admin person, and just making sure that when you're setting up the account, that everyone is aware of who is going to have access to this specific profile. So that way, when they are working on it, they don't go into TaxDome and they can't find the account. Initial account setup, very important. What kind of tags are you going to be giving whenever you're setting up a new account? So that's all going to be dependent on the automations and the pipeline that you set up, because if they are dependent on tags, because you can program a pipeline to be to run certain automations based on what tags they have, it is vital that you set it up under the right tags. And here are some examples: 1040, 1120, payroll, sales tax, any other specific things that you want to know. If they use QuickBooks Online or QuickBooks Desktop, are they a new client? These are some nice tags that you can use as an identifier to run specific automations on your pipelines and your workflows. You know, another best practice, what I do is I record a video just like this for the team to walk them through, the latest pipeline that we have and how it works from step one all the way to the final step. So that way they have familiarity and they know what things they need to do within the pipeline to move a job forward within TaxDome. So again, just some ideas for you. I also do a couple of little GIFs. These are some screenshots, but with some moving parts around how to do certain things. One nice thing that we do is a monthly profile and tag audit process. So the instructions are for the admin to go into the client search and just review by no tags. And if any profiles show up, they'll, identify why they don't have any tags and should they have a specific tag. That way they're not being missed when they are being ran inside of a pipeline. So that tends to be a mistake that happens when someone in the team sets up a profile and forgets to assign a specific tag that should be assigned. And that impacts workflow automation, especially if it's tag dependent. So that's a big one. We've got a couple of other things, just making sure that every profile has the email sync feature button turned on. That's one that's amazing because basically if every license holder has their email synced into TaxDome, any email threads that are happening within the firm amongst every member of the firm, everyone will have access to that thread with the customer. So if one of your members goes on vacation and they had something pending with a customer, you can always look up that customer's profile, and if the customer calls and says, hey, Billy promised me that X, Y, or Z would happen. I emailed them last week. What's going on with that? And if you don't have access to Billy's inbox, but at least if Billy's inbox is synced into TaxDome, you can go into the customer's profile and see that email thread, get some context, and provide that customer with the better experience and not wait for Billy to come back from vacation to figure out what the heck happened. It's a big one. Make sure the email sync is turned on every profile so you can stay in touch with your customers that way. A couple of screenshots, making sure again all the right members are assigned to the corresponding accounts. That's a big one as well when initially setting up a new account. Giving the right employee access to the right account. So typically you can give one of your admins or administrative, personnel an admin feature so that they can assign permissions. So if you're the firm owner, you don't have to be the one, doing, with the only access to turn on or turn off certain access rights. There might be some members of the team you don't want to give them full access to edit pipelines or edit templates or, manage the invoicing. There are some things that you can remove from certain members of your team that has nothing to do with what they are required to do in their job function. So that's a big one. And then this is a big one too, is making sure that signing priority on multiple signers, especially if you're using electronic signature capture for contracts or for tax returns. This is huge. Sometimes by default, these things will be set up a certain order. So if you need to change signer number one and signer number two, in some cases, certain profiles might be set up where you don't have the second signer in there and you're just running into that headache. And so part of that audit process allows you to ensure if you have profiles with multiple signers to set that up appropriately. And then you've got just some shortcuts and resources, on how to onboard, how to sync the email using a dashboard, navigating through pipelines, creating tasks, just some of the typical shortcuts of how to do some of the FAQ stuff inside of TaxDome. I hope this is helpful. Build your own TaxDome playbook. That's really the takeaway here. If you don't know how to do it, I am a consultant. I can help you with that, but I just wanted to offer this for you so it inspires you to make sure that you tighten your process within your team. But if you have any questions, feel free to email me on the comments below in the description, and I'll be happy to help in any way that I can. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time.